So if everybody's here, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Thank you for coming. It's such a beautiful day that looks like we're going to get another nice one. Go ahead and do the roll call. Yeah,
Fine.
that's fine. Looks like we have everybody here.
Yep.
Yep. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you. I can second, I will. I don't know if the chair is allowed.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, I second.
I don't see any public
Yeah.
online, so I'll move to the minutes.
Okay,
I'll move to approve the minutes as presented.
and I will second. All right. Maybe we'll pull up the agenda.
What's that? Oh, board retreat, yep.
Okay. Is Kenny appearing or should I just record what he said?
I'm sure I know he did. I will find it.
Okay.
The special chair that kind of reclines, but.
Oh, I switched the chairs. That was supposed to be my chair. You guys set me up. See how y'all are.
Hold on 1 second. Sit on the edge.
We can get you a different chair. Okay, so, for old business, every year, we need to review the bylaws, and we also need to, add Wildflower Court and any other new entities into our current bylaws. We are waiting on a couple of things. One, a board retreat that is being planned, but I do not know when. And then we also need to get our new legal counsel on board. And then they will review the bylaws as well. I don't know where we are on legal counsel.
That could
Maybe
give you an
Ian can
update.
tell us. Thank you, Ian.
The legal counsel has been selected, Hall Render, and they were in negotiations with Robin Hall. That went slowly, not because of the agreement, but simply because of the issues that Rob was dealing with related to the school districts. So anyways, yesterday I got the contract and I signed it yesterday. And our side has signed. It now goes to Hall Render for them to sign. But I anticipate that signature either today, tomorrow, or the next day. So as soon as they get on board, there's a number of things that we want to have them focus on. One of the things that we want them to focus on is 3 to 4 issues that we've identified in the bylaws as they are being drafted by the medical staff. One issue is the role of the board in oversight of the medical staff bylaws. The authority of the medical staff comes from the authority of the board, so I want to make sure that the board's authority is preserved in those bylaws. That's number one. The second issue has to do with the use of APPs in this area. As you know, the state has licensed APPs, and because of the ruralness of the communities, there's a lot. That's not something that our medical staff, most medical staffs in Alaska are really interested in, because it does undercut the family practice model. And they believe it's a quality issue. That's not been the experience for most hospitals. That the quality and coordination does improve during those times. But we have to take a look at that now. Keep in mind that if the state allows it, we can't engage in restraint to trade. So we have to be very careful because this is an issue that's been litigated in the lower 48. Hospitals, that's a really important issue. The final major area that I wanted to look at is the whole area of hospital-based physicians. What's a hospital-based physician? It would be something on the order of our radiologists that be hospital-based, and they took out some of the language there. And so I wanted to take a look at that. My strategy with Hall Render is not to read through every paragraph, just to read through it, but focus on those 3, maybe 4 issues that we've identified, so they don't get into legal wordsmithing and spending a lot of time on that. But as soon as they're on board, we'll start that process. Now, having said that, the 4th issue that I wanted to make sure, was whether or not our bylaws conform to the state legal codes and things of that nature. I've been assured that they do, but I just need to take a final look at that. Those are the 4 issues. Having said that, what we've asked the physicians to do, instead of getting multiple lawyers involved, finish their draft. We'll identify the issues, which I've already discussed with Dr. Rosenfeld, who's been leading the drafting of this, as well as Dr. Malter. And then we'll just let them focus on what they want, and then we'll look at it and identify the issues, and then move forward with negotiating those 4 items. So that's kind of where we're at. I don't know, Gail, if I've missed anything.
No.
She's been involved from the get-go.
The medical staff pretty much has I would say about a 95% black line copy ready to go to their full medical staff. So they're just about done with their process. So it is just about ready for Hall Render to look at.
Where's this law firm from?
Sorry,
Where are they located at? Where's the law firm that we're working with?
well, Hall Render is national, so they have offices all over.
Okay,
Our liaisons have an English.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. One thing that I want to make sure that the medical staff understands, and I've brought this up, but is that you don't want to bring a set of bylaws that we disagree with at this point in time, because the board will be looking to Rob Palmer and the others to see whether or not they should agree to those. So I'm cautioning the docs to get it as far as they can and let us get involved. And obviously, with Hall Render not being on over the last month, we've had to delay that. So that's our fault. We're negotiating lawyers' time frame.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay. All right, then we will move on to board education. Kenny is not here, so I'm not certain what he was planning on saying. Did he send you anything about that?
No, when he emailed us, he said he was just gonna provide a verbal update.
Okay. I believe we're holding on that for now.
Yeah, he was going to reach out to Rob Palmer on that, but maybe with Hall Render on board, he will speak to them on it. He thought it was prudent to have the board have training on the Open Meetings Act. So I think he'll probably work with Hall Render now that they're on board.
Perfect. All right, thank you, Gail. And so now we'll move on to the board education gap assessment that we completed recently. Thank you, Gail.
Well, thank you all. So as you are working on your retreat with Ian and Deb and the leadership of the group, we thought it was important, Lisa and I thought it was important to get at least a baseline with our new James and some of our newer board members of where they feel their knowledge is as board members, because I know a lot of our board members come from other boards in the community and a lot of different experience, because that's what makes up a good solid board, is having a lot of different experience on our board. So when we're looking at having board training and retreats of what is our current board levels knowledge base and what do they feel is important for training. So we just wanted to get a good knowledge and understanding of where our board lies, on what their skill level and knowledge level is, what they feel is very important or important moving forward. And then at the end of this, where they'd like to get their learning. So this is just what we're going to use as we move forward with what Ian's doing for planning his board retreat this late spring, early summer, and then our training through the fall. So we just wanted to have this out and use it for our training for the next year, year and a half. So if there's any questions, concerns on it, or if there's anything that the members of the committee felt were a surprise or concerns, I'm happy to answer any questions or look at it. I noticed most of the board members liked having individual training or references prior to in person. If we scroll through Suzette to the very end, that was definitely.
Oh, can you back up a second?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
One of the biggest areas that came out was financial. And as most people wanted more robust knowledge in financial matters, which would fall in line with this time of year.
So 8 of 9 board members returned.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are some topics, Madam Chair, that warrant us to have some in-person training, but I think the bulk of the training can be self-paced, as for those of you who've attended the compliance committee and participated in the compliance training.
Yeah, and I also think that some of the work that we're doing on conflict of interest and fiduciary responsibility is particularly appropriate given some of the things I see on there. So yeah, it's good.
So, Madam Chair, I think that the two big areas when I was reviewing this that stood out to me with the legal issues and the financial issues that I think were the two key areas that I would probably have at the top of the education for the board that I think are most pressing for education.
I agree with that. Thank you. Does anybody have any comment or question? James, and Shelley?
No, thank you.
Madam Chair, I would said one other thing. It isn't truly an educational program, but and it may, it may be more work than it's worth, but it would be, I know we have the opportunity to look at the Daily Becker's reports to try and keep up, but there's so much packed in there that doesn't relate to us as a small community hospital. That it would be great if someone is looking at it on a regular basis, just to give us the cliff notes of those things that directly affect us.
What's it called again?
Becker's. I subscribe to several of their daily newsletters, but it's overwhelming some days.
Yes. And then, Madam Chair, the one thing I would probably ask is if we can share this with each of the committees too, because I think having each of the committees aware of this and having some of this education at the committee level would be valuable also.
Very good recommendation. Are you gonna report on this at the board meeting on Tuesday?
I think the results could be in the board packet for all the board members.
I agree. If I weren't on this committee, I would want to see how it shook out.
Yeah, because we required all the board members to do it, so I think giving them the results would be beneficial.
Okay. We do that? Yeah, we can make sure it gets into the board.
I'll let Anita know.
We didn't vote on that. Okay. All right. I'm hearing no other further discussion, so what we are going to do is make sure that these results go into the board packet for Tuesday for discussion with the full board. There's no action item on it this time. Move on. Okay, so at the last meeting, we talked about the 4 things that we were tasked to do. One of them was to talk about fiduciary responsibilities, conflict of interest, board responsibilities. And at the time, nobody had jumped in to do board responsibilities, but I actually included it in my discussion about fiduciary responsibility. There are some editing things that need to be fixed in this. And I do apologize for that. It's an easy fix. It's something that can be easily done before we discuss it with the full board. It is kind of detailed, but I tried to make it as simple as possible without filling it up with a lot of fluff. This is pretty standard fiduciary responsibilities across all nonprofit boards. It's something that's similar on another board that I do with the Health Trust. I believe, just based on what I've seen for the board with the educational assessment, that I do think that some of our members do not have a full understanding of what fiduciary means. And foremost, it basically means that each board member acts in the benefit of the organization or the entity and not with their own personal feelings and thoughts. Now, we all understand and know that we all come to this with our own experiences and our own knowledge, our own background, our own professional abilities. Some of us are bankers, some of us are accountants, lawyers, doctors, nurses. I mean, so we all come from that perspective. And then we come together and make decisions on the health and welfare of our community. So without going through this word by word, there is duty of care. And I think most of us understand what these words mean, but I think the hang up that our board has is in the area of duty of loyalty. And I think that's something, I mean, it's only a short little paragraph, but it comes into play a little bit later when we talk about conflict of interest. And I think also, I mean, I think we're all good with the whole idea of obedience. You know, we're going to follow the laws and the regulations. But the duty of loyalty, I think, is something that people have a little trouble with. Because people are also loyal to their professions or what they think is the right way of doing things. So I think we do need to have education about this, and I'm not hooked on any particular wording here. If there's something you want me to remove or you don't want in here or you want added, we can do that. If we could further on go down past duty of obedience, there is duty of confidentiality. I think sometimes we skate on that. Duty of prudence. I think that's one people don't think about sometimes. We need to be very professional and accountable. The duty to disclose. I did include a short paragraph about breach of fiduciary duty. Or what that means. The assessing board understanding of fiduciary duties is what we did with our knowledge assessment. And we could do a deeper dive in that if we wanted to. I did say I would do a conflict of interest statement. We've already got a lot of information about that spread out between mine and Deb's discussion. So I just included it here. The language in this might be a little more blunt than what you might like. But I think it all needed to be said. Especially the last sentence in the first paragraph. Where it says, in the event that a conflict is widespread, forcing the board member to abstain from a significant number of decisions, the board member may need to consider stepping down from the board and establishing an alternative relationship with the hospital and the board of directors. That is pretty common language in all conflict of interest statements. It's not aimed at any one particular person, it's just a statement of truth. And then, of course, the final paragraph that in support of the hospital and the hospital board of directors, board members will comply with duties associated with fiduciary responsibilities, will avoid conflict of interest, and will report concern about breaches of their actions or others to any member of the executive committee in order to resolve the breach. And if you want to change the language in that, you certainly can, because I don't know if that's the proper procedure or not, or if you would rather have a different one. So I just wrote it that way so I could finish the paragraph.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I wonder if people have minor editorial changes, if we could just pass those on to Anita, and then you could come up with a combined document without going through word by word.
Oh, that's
Here or
absolutely
another
perfectly, that's perfectly fine with me, Hal. That's fine. I just wanted to put it out there that there might be differences that people might see that want to be changed, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Anybody have any other comments?
No, I think this is good.
Okay,
With whatever editorial changes that might come up in the next couple of days.
okay. Yeah, I found a word that I needed to switch out that I had somehow typed something wrong into, and it's early on in this. And I'll find it again and fix it.
So Madam Chair, the only thing I would change is I believe that we have removed the executive committee, so that's the only question I would think you might want to talk about now is changing that, because I do know the executive committee has been dissolved, so so do we want to talk about maybe any member of the board or any member of board leadership? So
Okay. Which is to any member of the hospital board.
well, I was thinking of how would you want to phrase that? Could you have officers?
Officers of the hospital board.
Yes.
Oh, to any.
Officer of the hospital.
Org. Order to resolve breach, okay. Next. Then I'll go back and find that other. Word substitute that I did, I left something out. Okay. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, we can move on to the next section. And this was prepared by Deb, and I'll let her talk about it.
I combined a code of ethics and code of conduct because they're fairly well linked together. So the top section is a code or standard, it's a standard of ethics that I propose that we ask the board to follow. And it's really straightforward. It's standard in most boards, as Lisa said, in the fiduciary duty. This is a in general a component of any nonprofit and some for-profit boards as well to follow these this code of ethics. If you scroll down to the code of conduct, I wanted to make this as clear and concise as possible. There are two parts in this. These are the things that the active things that we will do to follow with our code of conduct. And I don't want to read them to you, you guys can all see. And then if you scroll down just a little bit more, the second part is things that we will not do, things that we may not participate, actions that we may not participate as things that would violate our code of conduct. So I do need to change, I thought I had changed the audit committee. I lifted that bottom part from a sample. It should state that officers of the board.
I thought this section was was very good because it is clear. It doesn't, previous sections state what we will do, and I think it's important to also say what we will not do. And so I like that a lot. Thank you.
I mean, it's fairly self-explanatory. I would entertain any questions or comments. And there, my experience is that annually, the board will be requested to reread and sign the statement to put on file with in the board information.
Any comments or questions from anyone?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the only thing that comes to my mind right now is we have this statement that we will not divulge or release any information of a proprietary nature relating to Bartlett Regional Hospital's plans and so on and so forth. I'm wondering if that is really expansive enough, because really the person should not divulge any confidential information, even if they don't necessarily relate to plans or operational databases. There's quite a bit of confidential information we have access to. Some of it's personnel, other things come to mind. That's my only thought. Thank you.
That makes sense to me, that we just remove the final clause and just make it an open-ended.
I just say any confidential information.
If I could follow up, yeah, I would change proprietary to confidential and then just leave it at that.
Okay. I agree with you, Hal, that's covers more.
Through the chair, would you like to have this the same as the other document and have it wordsmith through Anita or
Yeah, that's fine.
final?
Yep.
Yep, we will do that. Thank you, Hal.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Shelley, go ahead.
I want to thank you, both of you, for putting together this information. I like that it's condensed to the point and easy to read.
Thank you. All right, if there's no further comment, we'll move on to the next thing.
Well, Madam Chair, I
Yes,
guess I just too would like to say I really appreciate this effort, and I think this is a valuable addition to the whole board process.
thank you.
Madam Chair, are we ready to move these out to the board, or do we want to wait one more board cycle to?
I'm ready to move it forward, but how are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling fine if we're all, if we're comfortable with the wordsmithing process to get it to Anita.
Yeah.
But we have a short window to do that because she's putting the board pack out tomorrow. Tomorrow. Yeah, that's the,
Yeah, I don't think we have a lot of wordsmithing to do. Should we ask her if she could do this?
Thinking of when we need to be able to add to the packet, we might need, sorry, to the chair.
Is it an action item?
If it's an action item, because you're going to ask the
board to approve.
for the board to approve. So it will be an action item in her packet.
She has to have 24 hours to
Right.
publish.
Mhm.
Do we have time or we don't have time?
Please,
I don't know how much time should have with all the other packet stuff, but we can
Yeah.
ask her.
yeah. I mean, if she could have any word corrections by today, by probably midday today. If, I don't know if Hal has opportunity to look at these documents. Cause he is our guru on wordsmithing, and have them looked at.
Madam Chair, I'll have all of my corrections in by noon.
Okay,
Anita might be able to have it back and be able to do it.
okay. And if not, we wait till the next board meeting. Okay,
It's great progress, don't you think?
I agree.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Hal.
Thank you, Hal.
Same thing for our.
Like,
I'm sorry.
I think this is excellent work, and I was just telling Ian, I would love to see this at our senior leader level of something high level like this.
We need to align with whatever
Yes.
the board is.
Yes,
So I agree with 100%.
well done.
Good, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna try very hard to get this in. The board packet for an action item for the board to approve this on Tuesday night. If we don't have time, we'll have to wait, but hopefully we will not have to. I did not have any new business. Because we're kind of in a waiting, holding pattern right now. Waiting on the board retreat and some other little things so that we can move forward. Are there any other committee comments, any questions? Okay. As far as the next meeting, I was going to wait on that until we find out more about the board retreat. hopefully we can have a meeting in May, but I'll just wait on that. You okay, everybody? Okay. And I guess if there's nothing else, we can adjourn.
All right.
No, it's
Yeah, it's a lot better.
noticeably better.
It's a lot better for sure.